Hi all, welcome to our channel. Today we are going to see how to GraphQL implemented in our Spring Boot application. So before going to our coding section, so first we will see what is the difference between REST and GraphQL. So both are similar way. So it is actually REST and GraphQL both. So we need to provide some API, so need to hit the server and fetch the response. So both are doing same way. So but why GraphQL? So let me show you actually. So we will see two more use case. If suppose we are using REST API, so we need to provide HTTP method to describe. So suppose we need to get and post. So suppose get method, so need to suppose we stored some store API. So we need to get API mostly with to read the fetch the stores detail. So mostly post we need to create the new stores. So put method, so update some stores properties purpose. We need to create the post HTTP method. So same thing is patch. So particularly, so in stores we need to modify particular property, then we are using the post. Same way we need to delete also, we can delete the stores. So in this case, so single entity or single module, the stores module entity, so we need to create 4 or 5 APIs we need to require. We are using REST API, we need to create 5 REST endpoint minimum. So we fetch API, create and update and modify and delete. At least we need to create 5 REST APIs minimum. So in this case, in other case, if we are using GraphQL in single endpoint, we can achieve in this use case. Maybe single, not single, we can compare to REST API, we can achieve in 2 REST endpoints. So we single endpoint we can able to achieve this concept. Let me show you. So second difference means, suppose in we fetch the stores API. So here in the step, we have the millions of stores, so we need to fetch record. So each stores we have the 100 properties. So in this case we are using fetching the get API for particular store. The store will be written 100 properties. So but in my case, so we have different environment is there, right? So in mobile environment, web environment, so like kind of different tab environment, so different kind of environment. So each environment, so it will be UI will be like different, but we are all UI will calling the same API, but it is not required. In web application require 100 properties, but in mobile application, so using the 20 properties. So unwantedly we are using REST API, so we can fetching the 100 APIs is 100 properties, but we require the 20 properties. So it is heavy load in store, in somewhere in store, so it will be making some problem. So it is time consuming process also, but we can but we are using to GraphQL, so we need to customize our output. So I want, so whatever input I need create the schema. So this kind of input only required, so we need to specify the schema, so the GraphQL response written, so those kind of properties are written only. So in this case we need to fetching the speed response. So let's jump in our code. So it is a basic Spring Boot application. So in this way already we created. So in this form.xml we have added the GraphQL dependency, Spring Boot starter GraphQL dependency, as well as the web dependency. The another one is Lombok. So those dependency I imported in our project. So this is first step. So our application port is running 6060. So Yeah, but earlier I said is a GraphQL we can define our output response, right? So in this case, so we need to create the resource in the GraphQL folder. So okay, so in this GraphQL folder we need to create the schema. So we need to create like that schema.graphql. So we need to create like that. So everything is stores dot GraphQL. So single schema we can handle the different kind of all use case, create, edit, modify, return, delete, everything. So in this case I have created the schema.graphql. okay, so I will show you explain. So in this case, so I have created actually book and author. Okay, so this is actually book. This book, this book is kind of ID and title and pages and rating and authors. So authors means, so it is first name and last name. Rating means how much rating it is, how much rating in this, like, okay. So in this case we are using the hard coded. So like the book repository we have created 2 repositories. So we are using the post construct, means once will server will started, after that will execute the post construct. So instead of we fetching the data from DB or DB JSON MongoDB. So in this case we have hard coded. So in this case I have added created one list, and the list we have stored in the couple of data. So 1 2 3 books we have added. So in this case is repository also will fetching, so some post. So here also will added some same thing is hard coded. So we have created 3 authors and like that is also simple methods. So fetching from, instead of fetching DB, so we'll fetching the list. Why? Because so we need to understand so how GraphQL is working. But so this kind of implementation, so everyone will know. So in this case, so we stored some couple of books and author entry in the list. So the API call, the API method will fetching the from the list. Okay, so yeah, here, so in this case we have created actually the schema.graph. In this case we are using the 2 APIs. So earlier I said that we are using HTTP method. So we have created 2 endpoints. So sorry, 3 each. In this case we have created one REST endpoint. But in this case we have created only one endpoint. We can customize a lot of. Okay. So in this case we have created actually is 2 endpoint, all books and find by one. So in this case we have created 2 APIs, single endpoint. Okay. So let me explain. So we have supported 2 type ops. Is a type is a query and mutation. Let me show you. So we have 2 keywords in the GraphQL. So when we'll use query means if you use a fetching data, maybe you have basically get and fold related. So mutation mostly used for create and update and delete data. So right, so in this case we are using the query. So query means, so we have only fetching. So suppose you want created modified some source means we have using the mutation. So we have created means inside of mutation we have created books and updated books and delete book, like that we can create it. So okay, demo purpose we have using the okay, so I will explain. So here is a query means fetch the data. Mutation means updated, created and delete, like that. Okay, create book, edit book, delete book, like that. So we have in this case created, we get all books and find one by books. The all books API return the, so in this case the bracket means the book, the all book API return list of books. Okay, so in find one API, so find one API call, so return the passing the input ID, so return the single books. So it is this price follow the array. So is a book. So in this case we have created 3 entities, 3 model Bojo class, but we need to specify here. Okay, so in this case, okay, book. So we have created 3 Bojo class, we need to specify like that. So in type is a book. Okay, this type it's indefinite, automatically will bind, only will start the server, automatically bind the book to this book. This same way the book rating also, so we have created like that. So same way we inside the property also will bind. So what the purpose means actually is So it is defaultly will supported in GraphQL with scalar type is a int, float, string and boolean as id is nothing but like kind of primary key kind of id played. So in this case we are using string and int. Okay, so here what is the purpose of this id? Also same kind of scalar type, but it is mostly used for primary key. Why we added this annotation means it is not null, must be showing. Suppose we, what the purpose? Suppose I add a string exclamatory means that field is not nullable. That purpose so it is id is kind of mostly used to specify the mostly mentioned it's a primary key mention, so it is not null. Okay, same way we have created is a rating also is right, same way we created. Okay, so it is kind of schema. So in this case I will created two schema like that. Okay, so we need to specify the here is a book is like that. Okay, so here same way we pointed. Okay, so let me show you the command. Okay, it's a book controller. So earlier I mentioned it's a single REST controller with pointing the, but we are using two APIs. Okay, so here we are using two API, right? So all books and find one. So we have captured in two ways actually. The first ways means is where directly will mention is the find one, right? This is find one. This name should be is a method name. Okay, we are using query mapping. Query mapping means the mapping with the method, this method name into the query mapping. So inside of the query this method, right, it is automatically will bind. So is mapping, so it is like of argument also in query mapping. So another way is we are using the find all, but the find all method is not specified here, is all book, right? So it is a different way. It is we are instead of the query mapping we are using schema mapping. Schema mapping nothing but is same thing. So here we are using the specific the value. So in this case we will give the any name. So if you all booking schema is mapping to find all method like that. Both are same way, but we have different approach. First it is the find one is already we used the schema name is query name, then we can use another one is so different name, so we can map it. Okay, let me start my application. So here actually in application YAML file, so port is 6060. So first we need to enable spring.graphql. So enable, so we need to specify the path. Okay, so in the port is open. So how to invoke the GraphQL API means, so let me open my Postman. Okay, so it is a GraphQL, so it is my HTTP 60 GraphQL, the same API. Okay, let me check. It is same API. It is a common endpoint. Single endpoint we can achieve in this case we have achieved in the two use case. Okay, likewise we have using the single API, single endpoint we can using like mutation, like create books and edit books. So make we whatever you want, so we can use it, but anyway always using the single REST endpoint. Okay, so let me explain actually. So okay, so here is another one point is actually the schema. So first let me execute the program. So once we will execute, this is light of all books. So it is we need to in Postman how to pass input. So in Postman is paste our URL and method here in body. So here is one more option is there, the graph. We can select the GraphQL, so we need to find. So in query API, right? So in this okay, in this query, so we need to all book. Okay, so in list of all books will print, right? So in same syntax we need to customize. So now earlier I explained, so we need to restrict our response. So in this case, so all books return actually the entire books, right? Array of books. So in so let me open. So this all book return the entire book. So if you nothing to we are using, so you list up all. So I need to restrict some field. Okay, let me open. The book can have ID, title page, the inside of pages. So we are using the rating, the stars. So inside of the put the author, so first name, last name, ID. So right, we need to customize. In this case I need to the ID is not required in my case, so that purpose. So let me, so here is, we need to customize the all book return the book entity. So in book entity have lot of properties. In this case ID, title, page, rating inside the stars, author is, so in this case ID is not required in my case, not don't want, then we can just customize. So in this case I don't want this for last name means I remove it. So okay, then we can execute. So check the first name only will return the last name, so we can customize like that. So in this case I will show you in last name. Last name, see the last name will coming. So in this case the ID also I want means, so I need to add like that. Okay, this is a schema graph. So in this case ID also will generate. So what is the main purpose of we are using the GraphQL? So we need to restrict our response. So whatever response we want, so we can restrict, so we can call like that. So I need to create the API, we can create like that. So we can form our schema, so we can based on our response we can, suppose in this case I don't want the rating and authors means just I need to title base, then in this case also we need to give. So we can customize our what we want the response, that per okay. Same way the endpoint also same, in both endpoint is same. So here is find one, so same thing is in this use case we need to point particular ID. So ID is not null, so okay, the dollar symbol mention is not null. So in this case we are passing the ID is equal to 1. So title base same thing is the particular, so same way, similar way we can restrict it like that. So here also we need to customize. Yeah, we can customize. Yeah, this is what actually we are using the Spring implemented the GraphQL. So in this case we can use like that. So more find by find all, find by name, book by name. So same thing we created the type mutation also. We can create books, and based on our API we need to bind, then automatically will. So when we hit the API, first we will checking the, suppose I will hit the API, so right, so query mapping, so right, so everything will be mapping. So it is a query mapping, it is schema mapping, the both are similar, same processed index is similar. So suppose I hit the API, so first I will check the schema, right, so it's the input body, it is like a body. So check the method is, so is mapping. So if you find is all book means, so it is mapping, so it will be invoked. So let me show you. So this is also coming under the GraphQL annotation. So it will be easily find our find based on our query. So here we are type name is query, so same way we are using the mutation also, everything will be created like that. In this case we like that we can use it our Spring Book. Thank you guys watching our video.